Emerson once said, "Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain." You were born unafraid. The only two fears that you were born with were the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Every other fear that you have is a conditioned fear, and it's based on past experiences. By a show of hands, how many people in here are afraid of snakes? How many people are afraid of spiders? Roller coasters? Heights? How many people are afraid of dying? Out of all of those fears, do you know what the number one fear of all Americans is? Can I get a quick drum roll, please? Clowns. No. I just saw the movie It. Public speaking, come on. People are more afraid to speak in public than they are to die. That means that most people would rather be in the casket than delivering the eulogy at a funeral. I love this quote by George Gissel. It sums up public speaking perfectly. The mind, it's a wonderful thing. It starts working the day you were born, and it never stops until you get up and speak in public. The first time I gave a speech at Toastmasters, I was indeed afraid. My knees were shaking, my stomach was in knots, my heart was a-pounding, and my armpits were just dripping with sweat. Still, somehow I managed to get through my icebreaker speech. Then I kept at it, speech after speech after speech, until finally, around the 10th speech, I realized my knees weren't shaking. My stomach was no longer in knots. My heart was nice and steady, and my armpits were dry. I realized I was no longer afraid, because the doing it makes the fear go away. The big fat lie that we've all been told is this: that powerful public speaking is only possible if you were born with a natural talent for it. It's my firm belief that anyone in here can learn to become a brilliant public speaker. And I can't stress this enough. Powerful public speaking is a learned skill. And the process, how to learn to speak in public, is the same as any other learning process. It happens in a natural way as long as you practice, show the commitment, and show the courage. Now, Toastmasters is an international nonprofit educational organization. The mission of Toastmasters is to provide a positive and supportive learning environment in which members are encouraged to develop their communication and leadership skills, thus resulting in greater self-confidence and greater personal growth. Now, besides marrying my beautiful 120-pound wife, Toastmasters is probably the second most important decision that I've ever made in my entire life. My only regret is not joining sooner. It's ironic because when I was a senior in high school, like many of you in here, my dad asked me to join Toastmasters. I said no. Now it's come around full circle. And I'll quote Bobby Boucher's mama in Waterboy, because the chickens have come home to roost, because now I'm asking my 3 boys to join Toastmasters with me as well. And none of them had said yes. But this is how I convinced them. I tell them that Toastmasters is not just about giving speeches. It's my firm belief that Toastmasters will teach you the vital success principles that were not taught to you in school. School does not teach success. For example, how to effectively communicate with another person, either one-on-one, in a job interview, or on stage in front of hundreds of people. Or how to effectively use your body language, your nonverbals, including your facial expression, your eye contact, your posture, your hand gesturing, even your handshake. Or how to effectively use your voice. For the most part, we need to speak loud, clear, and slowly. But to gain the interest of the audience or the person interviewing you, or You must vary your volume from really loud to really soft. Vary your pitch from really high to really low. And vary the rate you speak from really fast to really slow. Those were all the things I was never taught in school. And let me tell you, it showed. 20 years ago, I went on my first official job interview. I graduated from UC Davis with a 4.0, but I just got my teacher credential. I was ready. But after a week from that first job interview, I received a letter in the mail, and it read, "Dear Mr. Politiski, we regret to inform you that you have not been selected for this teaching position." I didn't give up because I went on 5 more job interviews. And guess what? I got the same letter in the mail. It was failure after failure after failure. And indeed, I was getting frustrated, but my pops was getting even more frustrated because he wanted me to get a job and move out of the house already. What he told me, I'll never forget. He said, "Son, if you keep on doing the same things you've always done in those interviews, you're going to get the same result. I suggest you call them up and ask them why." That's exactly what I did. I called them up, and this is what they said. They said, "Richard, you had a very poor job interview. You made a bad first impression, and you lacked the vital communication skills required for this job." Right when I hung up the phone, I yelled out loud, "Communication skills!" But my parents and all of my teachers just told me, "Get your education and you'll end up with a good job." But that's not entirely true. What they failed to tell me was that education is only part of the overall success formula. In order to be a success, you need confidence, effective communication skills, self-discipline, and your education. So from that day forward, I invested in myself. I became a lifelong learner. Finally, I joined Toastmasters after my dad asked me 6 years ago in 1992. And then I began to read. And let me tell you a secret. I never read a book in high school or even college, but I made a promise to myself to read 10 pages a day of a good self-development book. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Come on, Rich, 10 pages a day? Yeah. But if you read 10 pages a day, every day for an entire year, which I've been doing for the past 20 years, it adds up to 3,650 pages. That's about 12 good books a year. That could be a master's degree right there. So finally, at the end of 1998, and at the end of my next job interview, I was offered my first teaching position. And it wasn't because I went out and I got more education. It was because of my confidence, my communication skills. According to Malcolm Gladwell in his book, The Outliers, I gained more practical intelligence. So to sum it up, communication is the #1 skill employers seek in new hires. The candidates who get the job and who get promoted the fastest are the ones with the most confidence and the best communication skills. I will leave you with a quote by Roberto Orsi. "Everyone, remain a student until the day you die. If you are no longer curious, I hope you have the means to retire." Madam Toastmaster.